Sports Mafia fans, we are here. This is the big teaser. How's everybody doing? Everyone doing? Super excited. I can't wait. There's little Antonio Brown right here in the corner. He's ready. He's here. All right. So today I'm going to have a special guest call in today. He's my brother. He's going to be calling in here around 8:05 after we get this little first segment going up. So today's topic for the teaser is going to be Alvin Kamara, Tom Brady's retirement, John Madden's passing, and Lovely Smith is now the new head coach over at the Texans, I believe. So we're going to go ahead and get this all started up. We're going to go and run this through. So ladies and gentlemen, let's get first started on this Alvin Kamara story. So Alvin Kamara was at the Pro Bowl in Las Vegas. And what happened was that he ran into a little bit of trouble at the Cromwell at Dre's. What happened was that he was reported seeing his entourage and himself pushing a young man on the ground and stomping him out, is what the story says. Alvin was trying to walk towards the elevator and a gentleman put his hand out and put it on his chest. As Kamara slapped his hand down and pushed him away, what happened next is that Alvin pushed him, and Alvin Kamara's entourage, is what the story says, hopped on top of him and stomped him out repeatedly. The guy is now still sitting in the hospital with very, very, very severe injuries. His eye socket is now busted in. His face is just internally screwed up. The sad part is that Alvin Kamara is a top 10 running back. Plays with the New Orleans Saints. I mean, this guy was a monster. I mean, he scored 5 touchdowns in one game. He was a beast. This year, he only had 1,300 plus rushing yards, along with the, roughly about 10 touchdowns. But he was hurt most of the year. Alvin Kamara needs to get his game stepped up a little bit here. And it's a little bit sad when you see such a great athlete such as himself, kind of like the Ray Rice story or the Tyreek Hill story, where you just lose your cool and lose your energy at that time. Now, what my mind is thinking in here is fans run up to all these sports guys all the time. And what happens is that they get a little too handsy. They get a little too gutsy. If I'm a sports person, if I'm a running back, if I'm a quarterback, I'm a wide receiver, I'm a baseball player, whatever. Once you put your hands on me, that's a green light. That's 100%. Now, for his entourage to hop in and jump him for 8 people, that's completely wrong. I do feel like that Alvin Kamara should do the probationary period, or even if they're going to send him to jail, because what they're saying is that they're going to send him to jail for 1 to 5 years in prison in Las Vegas. I mean, I personally believe that that shouldn't happen. I feel like that he should be on probation. He should have to do some type of community service, anger management, something along those ways. Now, on the next one, what we're going to say is Tom Brady's retirement. And I'm going to have my brother call in here in just one moment. I'm waiting on him to kind of get ready, get his stuff all organized and together. So what we're going to talk about is Tom Brady and his retirement and how he had such a great career and had such a highlighted career. Tom Brady was the 2006 pick, 199th overall pick. I mean, Chad Pennington was a first-round draft pick for Marshall. And the sad part is that he didn't even do as good as what Tom Brady did. So now I'm going to take my brother's call right now, and here he is. He's going to be popping on. Steve Kelly, what's going on?
Steve Kelly.
What are you doing, bud?
How you doing?
I'm all right, man. How's everything going?
Everything's good, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing just fine, man. So you just had a kid, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Congratulations. Had him a couple days ago. So we're sitting here talking about Tom Brady.
Okay.
All right. And how he had a fantastic career, how he was the 6th-round draft pick. He was the 199th overall pick. And he had a better season than Chad Pennington, who was the number 1 overall pick. Well, not the number 1 overall pick, but the 1st-round pick. So what do you think about Tom Brady and how his career went so well for him, being 7-time Super Bowl winner? I mean, in his career, how do you feel about it?
accomplish anything better than that. After 22 seasons long, Michigan grad, let me go ahead and mention that in there real quick. And at 44 years old, he still led the league in passing and in touchdowns in 2021 against all the young cats. Also want to throw out there, Matt Stafford came in second place in touchdowns. On his whole entire career, he's got 624 passing TDs. On his yards, he's got 84,520, and he's got 101 games with 3 or more passing TDs in his entire career. I'd say he had a pretty good career, if you ask me.
So let me ask you this real quick. Why do you think that everybody hates Tom Brady? I mean, this is a Michigan man. This is a Wolverine guy. Why do you think that everybody hates Tom Brady when it comes to having the best career in NFL history, but they don't hate Michael Jordan that had one of the best careers in NBA history?
I just think that there's people try and make excuses for his Super Bowls and obviously with the Tuck rule and a couple other things that happen in the seasons. And I just think that people try and discredit it as that and say, oh, well, this is why he won the Super Bowl, but there's 17 games in a season plus 3 other ones if you don't make the wild card. So it's a long trip. It's not based off of one play. It's not based off of, just one season. Obviously, when you get to the Super Bowl, it's based off of one play, but throughout the season, it's not based off of one play.
Okay. So I do see where you're coming from on that. Now, what about the deflated balls? Like, do you think that's a true subject to talk about with Tom Brady, or do you think that it was just a hoax?
I don't think it was a hoax. I definitely think that the PSI was down on the ball. But with that being said, why don't they just try and find any excuse to bring him down? I mean, obviously there's a PSI level that the ball's supposed to be at. With that being said, you kind of look for an edge in any way that you possibly can. And I think it was right around the PSI level that the NFL was stating it to be. Maybe a little bit underneath.
Okay. Well, dude, I'm having people telling me that they can't hear you. Hold on. I don't know what is going on. All right, so pretty much what you're saying is that Tom Brady had one of the best careers in NFL history. You believe that the deflated ball had a lot to do with the PSIs that was in the ball, including like the air and all that cool stuff?
Yeah, that's what they're talking about. That's the regulations have to be a certain PSI on the football.
Okay, all right. So let's talk about, we only got, a couple more minutes left. We have about 20 minutes left. And I kind of do want to ask you just one quick question.
Yeah.
I want to know, who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl and why? And I want you to talk about the 2 quarterbacks, the offense and the defense on both sides of the ball. Do you feel that Matthew Stafford is going to be better? Or do you think Joe Burrow is going to be better?
Well, truly, I believe that it's a pretty evenly contested match. I've heard around, obviously, people are saying the chance that the game could get out of hand. But, that's for both sides if neither team shows up. With that being said, I've always thought Matt Stafford's been a fantastic quarterback in the league. He's been a top quarterback.
Oh, I agree. Indeed, he has.
Since he's been drafted, it's just the team he was on is, brought him down some. I think that both teams kind of match up pretty good against each other. I do think that where it's going to hurt the Bengals at is going to be inside the trenches when you got, Aaron Donald and Von Miller coming at you each single play. But the thing is that's crazy to me is Joe Burrow, he's been tested every single game, and every single game he's proven that he can complete the task. Against the Titans, the man was sacked 9 times. He ended up beating them. You got the magician himself, Patrick Mahomes, and, they're down 21-3 at one point, and he ends up coming back and winning that football game. I just think that, the sky's the limit for this kid in the future, and I do think that, if they do come up and play, they can't trade field goals like they did in a couple of the games that I saw throughout the playoffs. Otherwise, I think that they're not going to beat the Rams because I think the Rams are going to be putting up some touchdowns. They've got some great play calling on their side of the ball. some good wide receivers to go ahead and stretch out all angles of the field. Cam Akers coming back from that Achilles injury way sooner than he was even supposed to is looking really good, even though he did fumble the ball a couple times the last game. With that being said, if the Bengals DBs come up and play, I don't think people really realize how good the Bengals DBs are. You've got possibly the best, safety tandem in the NFL with Jesse Bates and Von Bell on that side of the ball. You've got cornerbacks all over the field. They got Trey Waynes. They've got Chidobe Awuzie. They've got.
Well, let me ask you this real quick.
Eli Apple.
So you really think that the Rams might have a possibility? I mean, you know that Odell Beckham hasn't had a 100-yard game since 2019, and he had his first 100-yard game recently. And you think that the Rams offense is going to take off just because of the one receiver and the one running back that they have? When Jamar Chase is having a phenomenal season, he had over 1,700 plus yards in just receiving this year alone. And he won Rookie of the Year this year. And he has one of the best second-year quarterbacks to play this game. So you think that the Rams are going to win?
I do think that if the Rams come up and show up to play their game, they're going to win. They're going to win. They do have a quite an edge with the fans, that being with the game where it's located at, and I do think that they are going to commit separation. Like I said, I think with Cooper Kupp showing out the season that he's shown, and with the addition of Odell Beckham,
finally,
obviously Robert Woods is quite a receiver. It'd be great to have him there, but when you're coming back with your running backs, you got Sony Michel, Cam Akers, 1-2 punch, Matt Stafford playing at the top of his game. Leading to the fourth quarter against that 49ers team, I believe they were down 10. And he rallied the boys back and put together a great fourth quarter and took the game home for him. So,
man, I hear you on that. I mean, I was watching Cooper Kupp.
I do also want to say, I don't know. I haven't really seen. I don't believe that Jamar Chase has ever faced Jalen Ramsey, and I'm very eager to see that matchup and to see what that's gonna bring it to the table.
That's gonna be one of the best matchups.
It's gonna test the young receiver's ability. We'll be able to see what he's really got, and what he's going to be for the future. I think based off of this game.
Well, I mean, dude, there's a couple people in this chat that are agreeing with you, saying that the Rams got it, but I mean, I'm sitting here looking at what they have.
Honestly, I do think that like I said, I do think that it's any given Sunday and any team can win. But if the Rams come and play their football game and they play the Rams type of football, they're going to come home with that trophy. They do have good matchups. I wanted to throw this out there. They do have a cornerback on the name of Trey Flowers who matches up pretty good against Tyler Higbee. He's a 6'3", 220-pound cornerback. Like I said, they have a lot of DBs over there. And
that's
a
massive man.
Pressure. Yeah, they can get the pressure on the quarterback. So, I mean, if the pressure starts coming, it's going to be a long day for the Rams. Like I said, they got to play their football game to win. This is not just a walk in the park game where, you think that this is just some kind of bye or something. Obviously, they're both Super Bowl teams. But all I'm saying is this game is, I think that a lot of people saw throughout the Bengals playoff course that they're a team, to mess with. They definitely want some blood, and they're out to get it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, and 100%. And I'm not taking that away from them. But what I'm looking at here is that Cincy offense. I mean, they have Joe Mixon. That dude is a running machine right now. He's literally taking it to a whole nother level, along with Jamar Chase. Now, when you look at that Cincy defense, just like what my boy Jay is saying right now, I mean, look at that Cincy defense. Who do you think on that Cincy defense that needs to step up? I mean, you can't say Eli Apple. Who has to step up on that Cincy defense?
The cornerbacks aren't going to cover longer than 4 seconds, but what really has to step up on the Cincy defense is the defensive front. You need, Geno Atkins coming in and causing some havoc from the interior line, but not only that, Sam Hubbard and Hendrickson need to come off that edge pretty fast for them to be successful if they're going to win this football game.
Amen, brother. I hear you on that one. Now let me ask you this real quick. Rams or Cincinnati? Who's your pick?
I'm a little torn between the two, but I'm just going to go ahead and say the Rams, just because I do think that there's going to be more time for Joe Burrow to solidify himself with, a ring. But I think that it's Matt Stafford's time. I think that this was written at the beginning of the season when they traded those first 2-round picks for him, in the back-to-back years. But, they're making a statement, and they're trying to show it. So I do think the Rams are going to win. I do think it's going to be a close game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, by any means. I think that the game's going to be within 7 points. I would even go more comfortable saying that the game's probably going to be within 5 points.
So you don't think it's going to be within a field goal, not even 3 points to win the game, not even going into overtime to win this Super Bowl? Because this is the best playoffs I've ever seen. This is the best playoffs I've ever seen.
I agree. This is the greatest playoffs I've ever seen in my, 20 years of continuously watching the game. But, I don't know. I think that at one point they're going to trade some weird points, and I think that, like I told you, I think the Bengals are going to have to settle for some field goals, and I think the Rams are going to score some points. Obviously, I do believe the Bengals will come back at some point at the end of the game, but I don't think it's going to be enough for them to win. And I just think because of those field goals they kicked versus the touchdowns the Rams have scored, the score is not going to be within 3 points. I think it's going to be a little different. It'll probably be within 4 to 6 points, I'm going to say.
Okay. I like that pick. Now, what is Vegas saying? What are the odds that Vegas is saying on it?
I believe the line opened up at 3.5, if I'm not mistaken. I think it shot up to 4.
Okay. So now my next question is this, and we're gonna switch topics real fast. The Braves won the World Series.
Sure.
How do you feel about the New York Yankees going after Freddie Freeman? Now, that's some big news going around. What do you think that the Yankees are trying to do at the moment?
Personally, I think baseball's been calling for the Yankees to touch back into the World Series, to draw more fans back into it. It's one of the most liked teams throughout the franchise, throughout MLB history. Also, one of the most bandwagon teams in MLB history, I will say that. And there's a lot of fans that follow that team, and I do think that if the Yankees do make it to the World Series, it's only going to be good for baseball in the up-and-coming years for the future of that sport. I think that maybe they've lost a little bit of fans, but like I said, I think that a Yankees World Series, maybe a Yankees-Dodgers or, Yankees something of two popular teams would bring the sport pretty much back to life.
I agree with you 100%. All right, my man, so now we're going to switch over one last time. So John Madden has passed away this year in 2022.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, man. Rest in peace to one of the greatest coaches of all time, one of the greatest video games of all time. I mean, they have made this game to be one of the greatest football games to ever be made. Sometimes, people will even call it the greatest game to ever be played for Xbox, PlayStation, all the consoles. So tell us a little bit about John Madden and how his life has done for football, like what he's done to change the game, what he's done to put things into perspective for everybody. Tell me a little bit about how you feel about that.
Well, before I start, I just want to go ahead and say rest in peace to John Madden himself.
Amen.
He died unexpectedly, which is kind of, that's very sad. I kind of thought weird, though. I didn't want to say this when they were saying they were going to come out with a biography on his life. The message was a little weird to me why all of a sudden they wanted to do that. Well, I thought it just came a lot sooner, So I just wonder if they maybe thought that he was going to be coming, on his later, coming to an end on his life or something like that.
Amen.
But I do want to talk about some of his accomplishments in the NFL. He coached 10 NFL seasons. He was with the Raiders. He took them to the 7 AFC title games. Also with a Super Bowl appearance in 1976 where he won. He's got 103-32 and 7 record as a head coach. Nothing to be discouraged about throughout his NFL career. So with that being said, he's brought the game of football to measurements of where people never thought that it would ever be at.
Hey, I hear you 100%, man. And some people in the chat are saying R.I.P. Madden, R.I.P. Madden. A couple other people on here have been saying very true. the way how I look at it as is that John Madden had one of the best coaching careers in history. That man has done a lot, even for commentating the games. He's done a lot for, when he was in that movie, The Replacements. I mean, that was, I mean, when I heard that he passed, man, it was a heart hit. It was a very, very hard heart hit. And, I just hope everything for the best for him and his family.
Especially as a commentator, that's another thing where a lot of people captured his voice. I wasn't alive for any of his
coaching
accomplishments in the NFL. Yeah, absolutely. But to hear his voice and the way that he drew up plays, and the way that he paused the game and put the yellow zigzags on the screen and telling you this guy's going over here and this is the way that the play's drawn up. Now you're going to watch him come back around this way. That was awesome. You can watch some of it back on YouTube.
Man, it was just like watching Boomer too, like hearing both of them, like Boomer on ESPN and then John Madden on the NFL games. Man, it was actually a pretty fun time to watch all of them.
Tony Romo should go over there and watch some broadcasts by John Madden. Might help his career.
Yeah, it might help Tony Romo out a little bit. So did you watch any golf? Did you watch Jordan Spieth hit that ball off the cliff and made it onto the green? Did you see that?
I did see that. I haven't watched any golf, but I did manage to catch that highlight where the caddy had asked him to go ahead and take the stroke, and Jordan Spieth turned to the caddy and he said, "Hand me my 7-iron,"
and smacked it.
And just smacked it and ended saving par for the hole.
Yep.
So obviously Jordan Spieth making news again one way or the other. Obviously, if you're not winning it, you got to find another way to do it. So, hats off to that guy. He's a hell of a golfer.
Absolutely he is, man. That guy can hit the hell out of a ball, too. So, my next big thing is what I want to talk about is this. I want to talk about the show. And this is going to be the last 10 minutes of what we have going on. Guys, the show is going to be every Monday and Wednesday. It's going to be from 11 a.m. to 2 or 3 p.m., depending on how long the segments go. I'm trying to figure it out, maybe, 2 p.m., 3 p.m. I am going to have a special guest here, along with other people calling in. This is my brother, Steven. He is going to be calling in several times a show. He will be out here in March, and we are going to go ahead and get a segment going together when he's out here in March, towards the end of March. The reason why I started the show is because of 3 reasons. I love sports. I love every single sport. It's just an amazing thing just to watch. Number 2, the reason why I'm doing this is because sportzMafia. And sportzMafia meaning familia. We're all one big happy family when it comes to sports. I mean, Steve, you remember when we used to sit there and argue with everybody in the living room about the stats, the guys, the team, the this, that, and all the other, and then afterwards we were all shaking hands and hugging it out, going to play basketball somewhere. I mean, those were the greatest days of all time. And
I still feel like I relive those days every other day, but yeah, those are good days.
Yeah. I mean, even when you're sitting at a bar and you're arguing with somebody, like you're still a friend. Hey, man, can I buy you a drink shortly after? Number 3, the reason why that I wanted to get into this, and it is kind of like an emotional thing, because of my father. My father was a huge sports fanatic as well, along with the Lions. One day he took me up to go meet Benny Blades at the Mobile One gas station, and he asked him, "Hey, Benny, can you stay? Let me go grab my son real quick so you can get a picture." I am going to post that picture right here on the back of this wall so everyone can see it. But that is the main reason why I joined this, was because him and my Uncle John had so many sports fanatic stuff. I mean, I just remember going over to Uncle John's house and seeing millions and millions of different sports stuff. So that's the whole reason why we're starting this, is because we're all a big, giant, happy family. And so, yeah, we are going to start doing this every Monday and Wednesday. So, Steve Kelly, what else you got to say, bud?
Thanks for having me on the show, Dave. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man, no problem, dude. You're going to be calling in, every Monday and Wednesday for about an hour and a half? You think so? You think that, we can get everyone to...
Yeah, we can work something out like that, absolutely.
All right, guys. All right, everybody. Well, we're going to go ahead and end this stream. We're going to go ahead and we're going to...
Before you take off, Dave, I did want to say one thing. I wanted to talk about Lovie Smith from the Bears.
Oh, that's right. Lovie Smith.
Yep, and how the Bears how the Texans hired him. I just think it's a fishy hire to me. I think that the team is already in rebuilding mode. I think that this is kind of a hire so that it doesn't, the Brian Flores allegations don't look so weird. I think that team is honestly probably 5 years or so from even being competitive. Your life expectancy in the NFL is 2 to 3 years. I believe that this was just a hire to, go ahead and say they did it. And I do think there's a lot more to come out of this. And, this was a bad move by them. This was a bad move.
Well, I mean, I look at it this way, man. I believe that everybody should have an opportunity and everybody should have a chance to show what they have. And I think that Smith, he's only had like a 2 games won. But here's the thing about the Texans. Yeah, but here's the thing about the Texans, though, that you have to understand. The Texans are in a rebuilding stage because they don't have DeAndre Hopkins anymore. They don't have Crownie. They don't have J.J. Watts. They don't have Deshaun Watson because Deshaun Watson wanted to be stupid and go off and do all that stupid allegation stuff that he was doing.
They still have Watson, but this is my point, is I think that with that being said, it's 5 years to build this team. Your life expectancy in the NFL is 2 to 3 years if you're not going to do anything as a head coach. Yeah. He's going to be out of there before there even going to be anything. That's all I'm getting at. I don't think that they hired him just because to, make Brian Flores' situation not look as bad. With that being said, Lovie Smith has been to a Super Bowl with the Chicago Bears and with the Rams as a defensive coordinator.
Yes.
So he does got, he's a good coach, but in the final 2 seasons before he was let go, he had like 3 wins or something like that. So
yeah, absolutely.
I don't think you could have gone and hired Brian Flores as a better candidate, obviously. But with what happened, no one's going to hire him because it's going to bring unnecessary drama to the team. But I just think that it was a weird hire. I don't think that he came out of nowhere. I don't even know if he was even a coaching candidate for any team. As far as maybe it popped up and. Over the weekend, and I missed it, but I never saw it anywhere.
Very true, but here's the thing, though. The Texans need a rebuilding stage anyways because they don't even know who their quarterback is. I like David Mills. I thought David Mills was the best one out there for consistency-wise, even though they had a losing season, but still, you need an offensive line in order to protect your quarterback. Now, what Jay is saying is that he liked the hire for Doug Peterson in Jacksonville after Urban Meyer got canned.
I do think
I think that was a good hire.
That's a very good hire. People got to go ahead and look at what he did with Carson Wentz, what he did with Nick Foles. I think that Trevor Lawrence is way personally better than Carson Wentz coming out of college. There's no question about that. The offensive line needs a little bit of building. My personal opinion is they take an offensive tackle with the first overall pick. That's going to be the start to their rebuild. They're going to have some. They'll get some guys. They'll get some guys over there in the next couple of years. I think Doug Peterson will get that team back on track. I think we'll start seeing the Trevor Lawrence show here soon.
Yeah, man, dude. I mean, hey, I 100% agree, but you need an offensive line in order to protect Trevor Lawrence. I mean, you can't sit there and just have them run the ball consistently. I mean, they have a good wide receiver setup. They don't have the best in the league, but they have some pretty good receivers that could blow out, along with Allen Robinson running the ball. You just need to get that offensive line in order to have a winning season, because if your quarterback is being rushed, I mean, if you look at right, yes, thank you. But when you look at the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes' offensive line went down, and you see him running for his damn life, trying to figure out where the hell to throw the ball to.
Last year, but you saw all the offseason accusations they made to make the O-line supposedly better than what it was. But I just think truly that team's kind of found out a way to get to Patty. Now, since there might be a tape out on him, you don't really know. I just think that teams are finding out to find
a loophole.
To get to him.
Yeah, a loophole in their scheme. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he likes to get outside the pocket, which gets him in a little bit of trouble sometimes. But with that being said, I definitely do think the Chiefs are they've got another 1.5 for sure that they're going to pull out soon.
I mean, and you also got to watch.
I don't know if it's going to be next year, but it's going to be within the next couple of couple years.
I mean, but you also got to look at what they're doing to Tyreek Hill, too. But they're leaving Travis Kelce open over the middle, over the seam every time because they're too worried about Tyreek Hill running those 7 routes, those 8 routes, those 9 routes, those quick little 5 routes. So they're double and triple teaming him. That cornerback is playing so far off on that side because if you watch Tyreek Hill plays like tag with you. Like, can't get me. Too slow, and he takes off running. So they have that safety over top for the deep route. They have that middle linebacker for the 5. Then they have the cornerback playing him on that outside on the sidelines, so he can't do that little stop and go BS that he does, so that he can get that. I mean, you remember when he was playing against Dallas? They did the Hail Mary. They just threw him the ball and he just took off running. He went through the whole entire defense. I mean, I don't know. I'm super excited to see what happens in this offseason. A lot of guys' contracts are up for all sports, actually. A lot of them are up. The trade deadline for the NBA is coming up, too, which is pretty cool. And James Harden doesn't want to go anywhere. He wants to stay in Brooklyn. So that's a pretty cool news to hear. Ben Simmons, we have no idea what's going on with Ben Simmons. But that's going to be all on the next show, guys, on the 28th. February 28th, we're going to be talking about more of this. We're only going to do a 30-minute subject, and I kind of want to stay on that 30-minute subject just so we don't give too much away. So, Steve Kelly, man, dude, thank you for showing up on the show, man. I really appreciate it, dude. You're my brother, and I love you to death, man, and we'll most definitely see you soon.
Thanks for having me on the show, Dave. Love you too, man.
Yeah, man. All right, guys, everybody in the chat, thank you all for tuning into Sports Mafia. Remember, February 28th, Monday, is the first day at 11 a.m. All right, everybody in the chat, y'all have a good one. Steve Kelly, say bye to the chat.
Mafia out.
Mafia out.